Hey guys, starting coming at you with another game of Diablo 2. You might notice you can actually hear the music now, and So apparently, I'm an idiot. You know, when you go to options in a game, you would think sound, like, is sound and music is music, right? But sound is master volume, and music is music, so we're gonna... Yeah, sound effects down there, yeah. We're gonna see how it goes, you know. It makes sense that we couldn't hear the music before, but I actually rather like the music, so I'm glad I finally looked at it. But yep, there we go. I'm a very silly person and don't know how to read the tooltip. I am the nightmare of designers. Here we're just checking for something good. Probably not finding it yet. So what we want to do before we move out, we have two choices for the shield, because this one's okay, but it's not quite good enough, right? We either make an Ancient's Pledge in the large shield or a rhyme in that shield. Now, we don't have the runes for a rhyme, but we can make it real quick. Wait, no. What button do I hit? Yeah, so we'll just cube them to get an F. I think we might move to pledge later. I think... Oh, we can't do it into the shared, that's right. Security. So this will get our resist up a little bit. It'll also give us cannot be frozen. That shield is now totally archaic. We might hold on to it just, you know, because I hold on to everything. Look, they give me all these slots. We're going to use them. Or not, you know. Alright, so let's just go ahead and get a crew together. And then we'll move out. This moves our cold resist to cap, lightning to 54, fire to 19, which is not high enough. I would be happy to drop some cold resist, right? Yes, this is a much better audio balance. I can't believe I just didn't scroll down, and yet I totally can believe it. That's so on brand for me.
I can't use this yet. I can't use this yet. I can't use this yet. I can't use this yet.
Alright, we're gonna have to turn that down, though. Whoops. Oh, okay. Well, you know, misclick. Alright, so what affects how loud they are? I don't want to hear my guy's voice, like, at all. Alright, one more time with feeling. Rhyme's nice, but it's not elite. It's just like a good generic shield to do good generic shield things. Yes, much better. You know, and the agonizing thing is I wouldn't have even had these sound settings when I played it the last time around. I would have just dealt. Wonderful. I can actually hear it now. Wonderful. Circlet with one socket is useless. 2 or 3 totally good, because circlets are stylish, and lack of strength requirement means that they are generically good. Mainly it's because they're stylish. Alright, we got our guys. Let us push forward into Act 3. Now, everybody hates Act 3, but not me. Even if I die here today, right now, I'm not going to hate Act 3 over it. I like it. It's got good music. The ambiance is amazing. The enemies are entirely obnoxious and they're dangerous. Movement's important and mostly not restricted throughout. I like Act 3. I think it's wonderfully designed. I think this treeman is going to travel along with us now. And now, of course, we've got the fetishes, everyone's least favorite mob. But not mine. I merely don't like them around me. I think they're good. They're good mobs. Yes, this is so much more tolerable as a playing experience. Oh no, Conviction or that is bad. It's not so bad. This reduces our resistances. It can be disastrous. These guys don't have any way to leverage it, right? So we're not worried about them. Jade figurine pretends to be an ultra rare thing. It is merely a quest item. We'll turn it in here in a second. We have too much junk in our inventory, but you know, a lot of it is stuff. A lot of it is stuff that helps us live a little bit, and that is better than not. These guys have Fanat and they have Frenzied Attacks, so we're going to throw Decrypify on them to slow them down. Good thing to do when you're faced with, you know, very dangerous mobs is rather than try to kill them quickly and run the risk of them cracking through a bunch of your guys when you don't have, you know, bodies around that have hit the floor for you to exploit for your nefarious purposes. But we can't really cube up a rune to get meditation. Not really. The insight rune word for meditation. We might be able to cube every rune we have for it. I didn't really pursue it. Once it's like one level or so, like you just don't want to get rid of a whole bunch of runes to get one rune word, even when it's that one. Although with self-found, the rules are a little different. That's the arachnid layer, not the spider layer. No reason not to go down and at least check mobs, see if they're dangerous or not. Yeah, we're gonna just have some poison things. Hey, Froggy. Good morning, Kiara. Yeah, I finally figured out the sound settings a little bit, so we've got more musical sounds coming through and less of the a little less of the other. You want to talk about bad design for a moment? I tell ya. Like, I'll stand here where it's safe to complain about it. The sound is master volume, and music is music, and then all of the things within sound effect volume is in a totally different place at the bottom of the page. That ain't right. We run in there to pop, pop, pop. There we go. We're going to get a couple big old speed rays here. Or a couple little things. Probably a couple little ones. Pathetic. So you still don't feel well. You know that illness sometimes takes a while to get over. That stinks, though. I am very sorry to hear it. You know, the worst part about being sick is that you can't even enjoy it, right? That's how I always feel anyway. You know, like, I'm laying in bed and watching TV, but I can't enjoy it, you know? You don't feel good. Like, you can just, like, sit there. Because you know, like, if I'm sick, I can't, like, get up and play games, right? Which is the worst, because that's, like, all I ever want to do. Pit Feast with Mana Burn and Stone Skin. But sometimes I'll usually use the occasion to watch some show that I haven't before, and sometimes, you know, sometimes those things are pretty good. Hey, Longsword, we already have one, right? No, no, because we've got the broadsword as Eisenhardt's longsword is. Kliglaw? Yeah. We'll hold on to that. Because as a necromancer, like all the dumb items I'm holding on to, they don't matter. But the kind of okay ones do, because you've got a creature called an Iron Golem you can summon. And I've been told that it persists through worlds now. But basically, when you summon an Iron Golem, you use an item as the base for it. And then it gets the qualities of that item. So if you get something, you know, that's got like a ton of like ice resist or whatever there. Or like in this case, Deadly Strike, we could give it crit, you know, we could give it faster movement. We could make it have an aura, anything like that. But, you know, it's kind of hard to keep them alive, but it is a cool thing you can do. So you could have hard to keep alive, Skeleton Mastery for a little bit more damage, HP and such. What about Minecraft? Oh, Iron Golem, yes. You know, the Iron Golem here would have predated that, but if I'm not mistaken, the Minecraft Iron Golem is a reference to another property, the Iron Giant, right? And that's why occasionally it will offer the flowers. But yeah, there's 4 golems. There's Clay Golem, Blood Golem, Iron Golem, and Fire Golem, and they're all what they sound like. Blood Golem, it links the damage it takes to you and stuff. There used to be a way for Blood Golem to be super good, but that got patched out like 24 years ago, so, you know, ancient history, really. And basically, I desperately wanted Fire Golem to be good whenever I was young, and it isn't, and it never will be. That's okay. Even in the motion-ish of circumstances, I don't consider Fire Golem really that usable. Iron Golem can be. Clay Golem, so they all, like, the Blood Golem, if it gets hurt, you know, you get hurt too. Or did they ever change that? Okay, I guess they changed it one. Wow, okay. Well, so apparently the Blood Golem doesn't hurt you anymore and just heals you for the damage it does instead of you getting hurt too. That's good. There used to be a thing called, but anyway, Iron Maiden and Blood Golem, it would hit the Golem and then it would heal you a ton and then it would do tons of damage, but they patched it. So you need new earbuds. Oh, it's not so good. You know, anything that you put inside of your skull should be, you know, at least thought about a little bit. And a light punch in the ear is no fun. Actually sounds terrible. I don't know if you've ever been punched in the ear, and I don't mean to bring it up if you have, but it hurts. It hurts so bad. Oh, man. It's like, it's actually, like, really annoying, right? Like, there's lots of types of pain like that, like getting punched in the ear or stubbing your toe, where it's like, you get so mad because it hurts, like, so aggressively, but you're not, like, you're not damaged by it, right? You know, like, it's not gonna, like, it's not the kind of pain where you can't stand. It's just the kind of pain where you feel like you're literally on fire. Or, you know, being burned, probably the best example of that. Not like a super bad burn, which is, of course, terrible. I think mainly of, like, burns that I get in the kitchen all the time at work. Because, like, two, though, you just get fire resistance. Not, like, super fire resistance, but some. Like, there are plenty of people where, like, getting burned by 350-degree oil is, like, that's really bad. And it is. You don't want to do it. But, like, some of it, you just sort of, like, wipe it off your arm real quick and you're good to go. There's so much hotter stuff to get burned on. Because, like, it's like whenever it happens, you're like, all right, at least, like, the max temperature of this thing is, like, 350 degrees, so we're all good. Where's the chest? For I much desire to speak with it. Now, the item's not here. The item is in the spider layer, not the arachnid layer. Spider cavern, the place is called. Ah, we just missed it. Whoa, no. I got jump scared by my own minion. They teleported on top of me. Oh, that's fun. Anyway, let's carry on. Me? Oh, I'm doing alright, I suppose. I really like Diablo. And our puppy has been finally adjusting a little better and isn't getting so anxious all the time. So that's nice. But yeah, just trying to go on through. Yes, indeed, it is. I think it's a cloud too. I don't know where to find the... I'm on hardcore. I know this place is clear, that otherwise it wouldn't be smart to do that, but I knew that there were no enemies around. Normally you don't want to take your eye off of the ball. But yeah, Cloud HyperX 2, yes. A very excellent headset. I would have gotten this one, oh, years and years ago. Probably when I was playing Classic WoW, so late 2019. Or, no, yeah, probably somewhere in there. Because I would have gotten it, because I made a few videos again in that year. And around there, and I think I got the headset for that. So maybe like 2018 or so. Long time. Yep. And then of course I still have the microphone on my desk in case this one that I use now, which is a HyperX. I think it's called a Solo Cast. You know, it's the cheapy one, but it's the same. You know, the same brand. You know, I'm a nightmare. I'm what companies want and advertisers hate, because I try not to ever look at ads, and I'm very brand loyal. I mean, like, I always look it up before I make a big purchase to make sure that, you know, the same thing's going on, but, like, in general, like, now that I've gotten a couple of good products in this line from these people, like, that's what I'm gonna keep looking for, right? I'm, of course, not paid to advertise for them. I'm just a fan. They do good work. You know, but that's how I am about stuff. You know, I prefer the things that I know. And then I can feel betrayed if they don't do a good job, rather than feeling like I made a bad choice, right? And that's important, to be able to blame others for your mistakes. Say the Soulcast is best value? Yeah, you know, it was good value and I got it too. And then I left it on I left it on the table for like several months, but then I finally plugged it in. Says Grow the Box. Yes, and a good thing too, because I am so lazy and I have never done extra steps to make anything do better for this. I'm just like, can they hear the sound good? No, that's not true. Sometimes I move the little bar around a little bit. Like before I play a new game, I'll like go to the menu and record for like 10 seconds to see what it sounds like, and then promptly forget that I ever did that and never readjust anything ever again. How did Silk Circle go last night? Excellent. We found that new place. We couldn't follow that up for a percent. We just need like another item for it. But then we went back to the flea games where I had to knock things into the air like juggling for a long time. And I'd failed it, I don't know, like a bunch of times. More than 20. Who's counting? More than 20. And I apparently... my best run tied for first place, so if I had just gotten one more point on it, I would have gotten the item, which is like a weapon upgrade, so now I have the ultimate weapon, now that I don't like having more bosses to fight. Pretty funny stuff. But, yeah, so we got another percent for that. So, very excellent indeed. Because, you know me, I was just like being super negative, because that's what's useful. And I was like, we are never gonna get this. We're gonna play Bleed Jungle forever. Blarg. You know, that kind of thing. Just real standard me stuff. And then, suddenly, things got better. These 26 and 12k into 3. Fair enough. Yeah, you know, it's it's funny how I spent 20 some odd hours on that. I don't think I would do it again. It's a lot of time. I could have been playing something else. No, I mean, it was fun. My club step video from the other day never ended up getting a copyright notice. I mean, I'd probably eventually get one if it got big, maybe, but it wasn't like an automated thing. So that's good. So we'll keep on listening to the music. I just don't want to get yelled at by the computer. Yeah, Geometry Dash is very, very... The way that the level of difficulty ramps up from what, like, a person that plays a game would understand is very hard to being, like, incomprehensible. Pretty impressive. I mean, I think of, like, my best example of this would be Amethyst, right? Because the day that people beat Amethyst, right, you know, we played it on the stream a little bit, and there's, like, a UFO jump at the very beginning, and it's probably a frame-perfect one anyway. I made it, like, one time. I made the first jump, like, one time. And and then that, you know, we played through, you know, a lot of and then I joked and said, you know, man, if I could just get this first jump down, I bet I could do the whole thing, you know, and, because if you gave that to somebody who didn't know Geometry Dash and didn't know the levels there, they would probably just think, this literally can't be done, which is how I feel about, I mean, every frame-perfect trick, right? Maybe I didn't get it then. Maybe I'm lying and I didn't get it. Because could I even get it on mine if you have to have that many frames to get it? Even by accident? I thought I got through one time and then died on the next one, though. But that might be some other extreme demon. See, I'm very deceptive. I have a terrible memory about my accomplishments. One day they'll make a video about me, and I'll be like, no, I didn't mean it. I just have a trash memory. I never got to 2% on that map. I swear I'm sorry. So you wouldn't doubt if death was one of my hardest to do in gaming? Perhaps. But I probably got a couple things in there rivaling it. I wasn't like the best in the world at the first Halo game, but I was incredibly good. Me and my crew were better than regular good. Like, if I met somebody and they said they were good at Halo and I asked their tag and I didn't know their name, I was definitely better than them. I was that good. But that was more like, you know, an accumulation of talent. And I've been like, I played like World of Warcraft at a pretty high level too, but that is not hard to do. It's not. It merely requires no self-respect or time management. Or rather, that all you do is manage your time in order to play World of Warcraft. Yeah. Right, but you could get the first one, but then you'd get to the second one and the third one, and then you'd think, oh, okay, you can't do this. Even though that's a bit of an extreme example, because, of course, it's the top of the top, right? So... yeah, because you beat Extreme Demons too, but, well, you know, that's the thing. There's a saying in Haiti, beyond mountains there are mountains. You know, always another hill to climb. After all, if I'm not mistaken, even the very top players, like the guy that beat Amethyst, dude, like there's other maps up at the top that they haven't beaten. You know, because it takes so many repetitions to learn it and figure it out. I remember whenever I was watching Bouncy's video that he made on Sonic Wave, which was a really good editing job in my opinion. You know, I don't watch like Geometry Dash videos and stuff, but I thought it was really well done. I was just struck by, like, the sheer amount of time that my man was spending on it. And, I mean, I guess I did, you know, 12,000 attempts on Death Moon, but a lot of those were just me complaining, right? They barely counted. 12 jumps in? Oh, 12%. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I love Act 3. Everybody thinks I'm lying, and I have good friends that I used to play with that thought that I was just trolling them the whole time. But I love Act 3, even though it's miserable and scary and bad. It's the best. And I think we have an exit. So a Great Mark's exit up there and there, so that's pretty fun. 8,500 attempts. Okay, I was like 850. I was like, that sounds pretty awesome to me, but maybe it gets even harder after that. Flail? We need like a 4-socket flail just for later. That's an Eth flail, which is useless. One of our rings is just mana, and if we can just get mana regen, like, that's pretty replaceable if we can get, like, a fire resist ring, but that's, you know... Please be one health reduction. Get absolutely out of here. Giant lampreys, and then we've got Fanat Spider pack over there, and champs up here. We'll do champs first. We don't want to run the risk of them pulling with Fanat, and then everything going pear-shaped. And we'll just do some karate explosions there. Hey, Neo. Yes, still alive. Cool. Connected to the radio. Awesome. Also, I figured out the sound balance better. The sound and options that's labeled sound is master sound. And when you go all the way down on the page, then you get the individual sound effects. So now we can actually, have a better balance of sound effects and music, which was so annoying to me. But I got up this morning and I was like, all right, I'm going to figure out how this works, because this is real dumb. Alright, we've got problems. No. Those are R revived, I think. Yeah, we're all good then. I was like, there are more mobs down here than I anticipate. We're just gonna pop the lampreys. Our Frenzy Treant is rocking out. And now we've got Fanat Spiders around this wall. We're just going to try to pull as many up here as we can before we deal with them. Where are they? Oh, they're all the way over on the other side to the right there. That's alright. We're still going to go hunt them down, though. They're not like... Spiders aren't so dangerous that I want to, try to avoid them just because they have fanaticism. They're not... There are some packs where the correct thing to do is turn off the game and come back. Well, we'll sell the wand. It's a very weird wand. Not really anything we're looking for, but it'll have enough mods to sell for max money. And then I guess we'll go and try to gamble for a couple upgrades. Have a lot of creatures? Yes, we are a necromancer. And these are our little skeletons. And then we have a dude who's alive most of the time. And if he ever dies, we bring him right back. No rest for the righteous and all that. Yeah, because necromancers have curses and summons. And their other, sort of utility things are that they can cast, bone spells and poison spells. Bone necros are okay. Poison necros are, in my opinion, a very niche build. And most people should not expect to be able to build one or to have a good time if they choose to. It requires a ton of gear, and even then it won't be very good. And Summoning Necro is my personal, favorite single class in the whole, or, build in the game. I also love the Sorceress class, like, a whole lot, but the thing about Summon Necro is just, like, there's plenty of times where I don't feel like playing a Sorceress, but, like, playing a Summon Necro is always fun. But we'll do our little Jade Bird thing, which we should have done immediately, because you get HP for it, so... Alright, so ways to get what we want. Belt could potentially have resist, boots could potentially have resist, and gloves could potentially have resist. The boots give us cold resist. The magic find is nice, but better boots would totally be a doable thing. We should totally get more inventory space than this if we're going to be gambling up 10 times or so, though. Alright. Because, like, the rings and amulet would be nice, but they are so expensive, so we're just gonna... Like, no, the boots are still the best to target because... Well, no, the gloves are a better target, aren't they? And we'll just buy several at a time because who cares? These, dropping the magic find to get big poison resist. I mean, it would be fine. I'm not worried about poison resist in this act. You could just, like, leave if you get poisoned, essentially. Now that's much better. They even have life leech. Wow, well, you know, that's not good for us. But it is just better, right? Because, you know, they're just a strict upgrade. But they don't like, help with what we wanted, right? Because we're already max cold resist. It'll just, like, now if we drop some cold somewhere else, it'll be fine. And there we get fire resist boots, but we might hold on to them just for, like, we will hold on to them. These boots, 30 run walk, man, but, you know. Alright, well that was not super fruitful, but we'll have these fire boots for when we go and do, like, Provincial Endurance and stuff for where the fire resist is more important. Whoops. We still have some money left. Not a ton. Some. Alright, we're just gonna move on here. Because everybody hates Act 3, not me. We're gonna keep on saying it for a while, because it's true. But people don't like Act 3 because it usually requires a lot of detours and searching. It's not easily rushable. Even if you have teleport, like, it's a big hassle. There's large groups of mobs. If you're teleporting and you end up in them and you don't have max fast cast, that'll just kill you. And the principal way that people navigate in this game is with teleport. So basically, Act 3 punishes the player for acting like the player usually wants to act. But if you don't care to act that way, then it's fine. And with the Sorceress, I'm as big of a knucklehead as everybody else. But with the Necromancer, you know, waiting in the background, skillfully biding your time. Zweihander, that's a two-handed greatsword, of course, as all students of history know. Some, rather. We've got a few items with, like, some good gold drop chance, which is fine. Like, gold is good, and, like, the economy stuff, which I often neglect, like, getting money and using it to try to, like, buy upgrades. Finding all your upgrades is not, like... You often won't get what you need if you're doing that. You know, you're going to need to try to visit the shops every now and then to get, you know, your dreams achieved. But and another reason I like Act 3, right, is because while going in places can be annoying, you don't have to do it that much. And the overland sections don't have doors. You think if I was a Skaven, or you just think that's where I would be? Well, you know, I think my magnificent whiskers would, you know, certainly get me in the door. Well, like, the sort of, like, Dr. Frankenstein flesh laboratory in Mulder is very appealing, right? It's very cool. The mad scientist engineer of cackling destruction in Skyr, also very cool. But Eshin, I mean, like, to walk in shadows and move in silence, like a man in black but a rat, you know, that would be very cool. Exactly. Have you seen, oh, I don't, this is embarrassing because I read their comics on the subreddits all the time. There's a person, and I think their name is like a letter and some numbers or something, you know, but they do comics that's like Warhammer comics, but they'll just have like a Skaven that's like hanging out like with all the other Bretonnian knights, you know, and no one notices that he's there, you know, or there'll be like a scene where, you know, like whatever ruler is getting news from somewhere else, or like a gyrocopter thing, and one of the pilots is a Skaven with a little thing, you know, like sort of like a Where's Waldo, but a Where's Skaven thing. Anyway, I think those comics are great fun, but I don't remember what the guy's called. Anyway, you can find them on the internet. Aren't I useful? We gotta level up. That's good. More vitality points. Is there a big bone golem? No, not as such. All the golems are the same size as this little guy. There's a fire golem and an iron golem and a blood golem. Clay slows him when he hits him. It's usually my preference. Iron has a Thorn's aura and gets the qualities of an item that you use to make him, so you can't make the iron one out of, you know, just out of nowhere. So if you get like a very good item, you can turn your iron golem into a very amazing creature, but then you know, you don't have a lot of tools to make sure he doesn't die, so it can be very tense for that. The golems are silly. The fire one, you know, big fire damage and resistance. The blood one, you know, heals you when it hits, but that, like, doesn't matter. It used to interact with Iron Maiden, and basically you couldn't be hurt if the blood golem was getting hit by something. But they deemed that to be too much fun and took it away back in, like, 1.08, I think, maybe? Maybe even before that. Before 1.10, though. 1.10 was, like, the big patch. Yes! Yes! Oh my god, I got it! Yes! Oh. Feels good. We have got a base for spirit. Alright, how do I spell it? It's the perfect one. All it needs is strength. Oh, yes. Magnificent. Talthul Ortam. $33 on the fast cast. 3 magic absorb. That's a very low roll. That's too bad. 22 vit, 106 mana. 33 fast cast on a 25 to 35 is totally legit. I would have liked more magic absorb just for the hardiness, but a very amazing item. 2 to all skills. You know, big defense against missile, massive life and mana. One of the best early game rune words, and now we finally got the socket for it. Amazing. Spirit can go in a shield as well, in which case it provides a bunch of resistances instead of the damage things. However, the first 4-socket shield you can find is called a Monarch, and it takes like 156 strength to equip. So that's like 100 more than I have, which is worth like 200 hit points. And you can't even equip it until you're like in the 50s in level. So generally, you know, if you decided you were going to go Spirit Monarch, you could do it. But this Necro, in my opinion, does not care enough about fast cast to want to do that. But that's awesome. We had all the runes. We were just waiting for a base. And, I mean, if I had a base 15 levels ago, that would have been cool. But the next best time to get your Spirit online is this morning. That doubles our mana pool. It's a huge, huge boon to us. And, of course, +2 to all skills is no slouch at all. Our build actually cares about a pretty large number of skill points compared to a lot of builds. You know, like, we want our armors, we want our skeletons and our masteries, our golems and our golem masteries, summon resist, and the curses. And corpse explosion. That's a bunch of skills where we want raw points, and it's like, so plus to skills doesn't affect what are called synergies. So, like, say you're a sorceress and you want to cast a blizzard, you also spend 60 other points in 3 other skills to make blizzard more powerful for each point you put into them. But if you get something that says +10 to all skills, those extra points don't go into your blizzard power. But because we're actually using all of these skills, we actually get the benefits of all of the plus on them. Very nice indeed. We don't have a huge amount of plus to skills. They're more of like a medium and late game thing, right? Where you start getting access to more of them. Although you can get them on your weapon kind of early. Alright, we have allowed ourselves to be separated from the crew, so we're just going to bounce here. The rare, you know, very narrow pathway there, so we're just going to bounce on over here. Cold Enchanted, we want to get away from that. We have max cold resist, but it's about being disciplined, right? It's about being disciplined enough to not allow the Frost Nova to hit us. Now, there is nothing in the Great Marsh except a waypoint, so we don't have to go. The audio, like, skipped a little bit there in my ear, like, as if it were on a CD. It had become mildly scratched when we were riding on the school bus and it hit a bump, you know, that kind of thing. A universal experience, no doubt. You know, compact discs. I'm hip, I'm with it. Of course, the problem with revives always is that they look like enemies, so you gotta, like, not freak out when you see them running around at you. Alright, that's cursed, so we actually want to just get out here and heal. It's likely enough that most of our guys were quite weakened by all of that. And we'll just bounce out here again. With flayers, if they're the shaman and they're uniques, shaman are the ones, they ride piggyback and they spit fire. They got like a nice headdress and stuff, and they resurrect as well as the fire spitting. But if they're unique, the guy they're riding on is also a unique, so they double drop, but they also double dip into their abilities. So if it's like a cold enchanted one and you pop it, now you're all Nova'd, right? And then the next guy pops out, you're all slowed down, and he's still alive. Just a thing to be wary for. We notice all of the missile fire coming in and avoid it very gracefully. Man, Swampy Pit is not worth going into. We can look at the mobs real quick. Because it won't hurt to go and grab the chest. We need to make sure that we're not walking into gloams or something. Even with 70 light resist, there's no point in, you know, exposing yourself to that level of risk. Get somewhere safe here. ID the charm. 2 max damage. No thanks. Alright, so we got a curse situation going on here, and he's teleport. That's not too dangerous, right? We'll just get a body, and then it'll be body, yada, 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 all day long here. No, did we break one? Lame. I want to explode them. Like, man, just please hit them. I think our terrible mages are actually holding up a huge amount of the hallway there. Once again, my love of the skeleton mages proves to be terrible. If it's their fault. It almost certainly is their fault. Another cursed thing. The minions of a cursed thing are cursed. We just pop in here. It's a little reckless, but not incredibly so. Drowned carcasses have just so much hit points. Here we want to reposition again for obvious reasons. Really should have healed our guys first because they were cursed to stuff, but we're all good now. And here we see that if our guys are actually swinging on them, that they'll still go down pretty quick. Fiends have a electric plus physical attack. Pretty potent. And of course, being the bats, they fall out of the ceiling. They can be a very, very rough surprise. They're a bad surprise as revives because they make me think that I'm being attacked by bats. That's the thing with revives, though. Unless they're like cows, you gotta be wary. Pit level 3, yes please. So I need a soul rune pretty bad. It would be very nice to get one. Because then we could immediately make insight for the merc. Which would get rid of our mana problems forever. Although much of our mana problems are sorted by getting spirit because it more than doubled our mana pool. And, you know, your regeneration rate is tied to the mana pool. And we also have mana regen through a little bit on the armor. And I think Rhyme has it, too. Yeah. We're going to check down before we check up. Alright, so I think this is just straight up actual maze, right? This is a long way to run without running into an enemy. It's even longer now. Starting to feel nervous. You know, if I hadn't played this game before, I would seriously think we were about to run into a boss. Because this is a long time to run without seeing a single soul. And the time continues. This is nuts! Alright, we finally see some enemies. Good. There better be something good in this chest, because this is the maziest place I've ever seen. Alright, so we go up there. Man, this is crazy. You know, if you had teleport... And then finally, yeah. Yeah, that's mandatory longest maze in the game. No, it's not mandatory. You don't have to come here. But I hope something good will be in the chest to reward me. That's what Diablo's all about, right? Doing stuff you don't have to do and hoping that you get something good for it. And if not, complaining about it and being like, see, this is why no one comes to Swampy Pit. See? This is why no one comes to Swampy Pit. I like Act 3, sue me. Yeah, we just need... We need a soul, which is this one. Yeah, we couldn't even cube up, because you need 3 of each rune to cube up, and then much later on, you need 2 of each rune to cube up into the next one. But at that point, it's even worse of a value proposition to cube away your runes. Oh, you can't res the shamans because they're a 2-parter. Makes sense. Charm a dex, toss it. Maybe we should have held on it to sell, but that's like, you know. I don't try to hold on to things to sell because they're worth 1,000 at this point in the game. It's like, if they're rings, you grab them to see if they're good, not to sell them for a K. Same with charms. Get another well. These are the sorts of long, protracted fights. Oh my goodness. Look at all that trash. We're not going over there. They had a whole bunch of birds. Alright, we're just gonna go heal real quick. And then come back in and continue the fight. Well filled back up. Just don't drink the second drink of the well, and they come back pretty quick. Alright, there are a huge amount there. Oh, goodness gracious. We're fine, but that is sketchy. We're gonna get out real quick. That was a lot of dudes. It wasn't that sketchy. I mean, it could have been, though. We totally could have died there. We weren't close to it. Sure, it's strange to say you could have died when you didn't get hit, but that was very dangerous, and I'm gonna just take a second to let my heart rate go back down. That was far more than I thought was going to be over there. There were a couple of different uniques involved. Just a lot of nastiness, a lot of issues. But now we'll be okay. Because I saw, we got an extra strong one over there. We had all sorts of nonsense going on. Definitely not a cozy place to be fighting. You wanna separate out a little bit. There's our double dip. Unique heavy crossbow. It's not a good item, but we could maybe turn an iron golem into it someday. Garbage. Alright, a heavy's 4 slot. The Hellcast. Actually, used to really like this thing. It's not good, but it's fun. Excuse me. They didn't answer quick enough. Don't ever call me, first of all, but if you do, and you don't speak immediately whenever I say hello, then I'm hanging up on you. Ain't nobody got time for that. Oh, and then this... Okay, there were 3 uniques there. No, this is still the same extra fast fire enchant one. That's not so bad. Alright. Sash, maybe it'll have, like, a mod we want. Nope. Like, does Maiden work on their thing? I think it does, because theirs is the only, like, ranged attack that counts as a melee attack or something. Or maybe defense works against it? I don't know. Anyway, the thing about Iron Maiden is... it's not really a solution against enemies that are small. It's like a long-term solution against enemies you can't hurt any other way. Because especially as you progress in the game, enemies tend to be capable of doing tremendously more damage than they're capable of taking. Or rather, they have much more HP than damage they're capable of doing. Which is why Skelemancer is so good and Thorn's play is so underwhelming. Lightning Enchanted and Cursed, pretty rough, but we get through it. We're just gonna go here to preserve our guys. I don't know if they're in bad shape, but they could have been. Hatchet Hand, yeah, sure, that's a thing to pick up. Because once we get Insight, we can get like 2 full rejuve things in the belt and like go down from having more access to mana, because honestly using mana pots is like, that's like a beginning character thing. No, you could eventually elect to get a more dramatic weapon for your merc at the expense of mana regen. I usually find that the convenience outweighs all. Got the old Gidbin here, so we'll get a magic ring out of Ormus for it once we pop these guys, wherever they are. Oh, no, 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 no. There we go. Wherever they are, they're right on top of us. Is Corpse Explosion important? This, yes, absolutely. This Corpse Explosion is like the centerpiece, right? They're all part and parcel of it. The skeletons generate the bodies to Corpse Explode. They don't really do great damage. They do fine right now. They don't do great damage overall, though, and it does fall off eventually, like, because there's only so many points you can put into skeleton, and then after that, they just don't get any better. So, like, right about, I don't know, in like 10 levels, no, a little sooner than that maybe, our skeletons will basically get as good as they're going to. And every now and then we'll get something, but yeah, you use the curses to soften the enemies, the skeletons to create the separation, the merc to do the damage to generate a body, and then you blow up all of the bodies, and that is how the Skelemancer works. And the golem for, you know, stat effects. And that's why you don't care about the golem doing damage, because this golem, the clay golem, slows the enemies by, you know, a percentage when it hits them. 33% right now at the level we've got it with our thing. So it does basically no damage, but it slows them down a lot. So it's all about, like, the stacking debilitations. And since the Gidbin is here, we're looking for the Flayer jungle entrance for the temple. Yes. Flayer dungeon. Alright, what mobs do we get? Alright, blessed aim on some Flayers. That's bad, not a disaster, not great. And then, ooh. Ghosts, that's not so bad. But yeah, you, corpse explosion, that's the moneymaker. But so corpse explosion is 50% fire damage and 50% physical damage, and it's a proportion of the full HP of the deceased creature. So it gets better as the creatures that you kill get stronger. Because it's physical damage, amplified damage also increases the damage they take to it. Because it's physical damage, it hits, fire immunes also for half of it. And basically, Corpse Explode is great. So amp damage is capable of removing physical immunity unless it's a very high physical resist leading to the immunity. So it basically lets you have play against all the mobs in the game. Whereas a lot of classes, if there's say you're a Fire Cold Sork, against a Fire Cold immune, you just kind of leave. And there are no Tri-Tree Sorceresses. Not really, no one does that. If somebody says they do it, they didn't really do it. If you get an item. Scythe build, pop cursor, and yeah. Yeah, one of my buddies at work was telling me that he had an item for his Necromancer in Diablo 4 where it's generated corpses for you to explode passively, and I was like, that is cool. We're poisoned but in fine form. The real problem with poison is that it removes your regen. We dodged the Frost Nova. We're not that worried about the Frost Novas, right? Because I have max cold resist, but it's a matter of being disciplined enough to not be hit by them. Because in Hell, even with max resist, you still get chunked a little bit by them. Excuse me. Alright, next one, and I'm turning the phone off. Should just allow it to be dead if I'm just going to be called by robots who don't even speak up in the first moment. And I think that's the thing that's most offensive about scam calls, right? It's not that they're trying to lie to you and take your money. It's not that they're wasting your time. It's that they don't even have the decency to have a single person doing it on a phone. They're just using a computer to dial all the people. I feel like if there was that personal touch, I would respect it more. Sure, there's a person behind the scams, but they're not doing the work, right? They're not doing all of the work. They're not dialing. Where's the labor of the scammer here? It's like a pickpocket who steals from your bank account. That, it's not a pickpocket, right? There's no finesse here. No respect for that. To be clear, you shouldn't lie to people and take their money. I mean, what are you, the government? You're not, so don't do it. And if you are the government, I'm sorry I characterized your behavior that way. How could I have been so foolish? Anyway, that should clear it up. Carrying on with Diablo. Try to tell you your son was an accident when you were 14. Well, man. They're like, oh, sorry. I mean, is the responsible adult that I can lie to on the phone? Can I talk to someone who will believe me? Do you have any gullible uncles, you know? Just absolutely wrecking shop here. Continuing to get all the rejuves. Rejuvenation potions are the most important generic item to pick up, and now that the stash can hold any number of them, that's doubly true. So I don't have full rejuves on the bar yet. I probably should. What I should do, you know, let's do it right now. Let's just build the stack. So what I do, I call it the stack. You stack your belt, so your first potion is a regular rejuvenation, and then the next 3 are full rejuves. That way, you know, the first one, you can, like, panic, okay, get it now. And then that way you don't use your big ones. Because it takes 3 little ones to make a big one. And speaking of... we're just going to make a couple more fulls real quick. Just because it's annoying to have to do when the time comes. Really, we should be stacking them up in here. So, anyway. You stack your belt like that. That way, when it comes time to panic, you can panic a little bit, and then you can panic all the way. Maybe it's not good to do. Usually you do it when you have a full stack on the other side, too. But I think it's fine. It's better than not having any fulls. I mean, ideally, you would just have 2 full stacks of full rejuves, and you wouldn't need any monopots, but when we get insight, that's, you know, we're going to probably do that. And just not have no mono potions on the bar, because you don't need any mono potions on the bar. Right, that is a bad door. That is a very bad door. Can we get bodies, though? Yes, if we can get bodies, it's no longer a bad door, it is merely a door. It's you that I adore. Say it's sad that they have to resort to scamming to also really pay. Yeah, you know, with all like crimes in the human condition, the more you learn about them, the more pity you might feel for individuals who are placed in those situations. But of course, you know, you can't let your sympathy go too far. In many cases, they are people that are trapped up in systems of unfree labor, right? Perhaps they visited a place and then were kidnapped. Perhaps they got a job under false pretenses. In many countries, it's actually the predominant thing that happens, if I'm not mistaken, with like Chinese language scammers is they are not in China itself, but are in neighboring countries like Myanmar. And people there are basically in the grip of organized crime syndicates and forced into scamming. And while that is awful, it's also, you know, like, you're still stealing from people, right? Right? You know, and that's the kind of thing, you know, you can't let what you learn make you too sympathetic, or you'll forget, you know, who's doing what to whom. Because, you know, you still have to blame people for doing bad things to other people, even if their freedom to choose was curtailed in some way, because otherwise, you know, without getting too preachy, what does it mean to be a person, right? Like, the whole world is full of opportunities to treat other people poorly and to take advantage of that for gain. And the whole world is full of systems that you can find that will tell you you're a good person for doing it. Like, it's up to you to know that what you're doing for money or for your own security is wrong and not to do it. And, so, well, on some level, I certainly feel sorry for the people, you know, only so far. Which is, I mean, easy for me to say. I live in a country with a more or less stable system of justice and a more or less stable system of laws with, you know, the confidence that, in general, I won't starve. And that, in general, it would be hard for someone to exploit my labor the way that people in these international criminal syndicates are being exploited. But I still feel like you have an obligation to your fellow man to not victimize them so that you can flourish. And I've always believed that. And I hope I always will. Life is very long, and we're constantly rediscovering what we believe and the ways that we can believe it, right? But I certainly hope that's a belief of mine that never changes at all. And I hope it's never tested. That's my hope, is that I can keep on thinking that about myself and never have to prove it. But life is very long. We'll see how it happens, right? But it's like that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia joke, right? Like, I'm old poor. I've always been poor. Some of these people out there, they're new poor, like they don't know what to do with nothing. But I mean, I'm still an American, so not that poor. I'm not ignorant to the position of wealth of the land that I live in relative to the rest of the world. Even if I don't always mention it in my metaphorical conversations or my hasty, poor analysis of the way the world is. Rare amulet, very promising. Now, our amulet gives us, like, resists in life, but not a lot of them. It's like 4 life and 8 resist all, so we're just hoping this is going to be any kind of good amulet. Well, a bunch of cold resist, which we're already maxed on. Look, they can't all be winners. Alright, and we are going to actually walk out. No, we'll walk overland out. That'll be much less annoying. Garbage. Let's go try to gamble some boots real quick. None of those are boots. Alright, well, none of those boots are better, but at least we're trying. Because again, 19 fire resist is just not enough, but we can swap the cannot be frozen shield for, like, an ancient's pledge when we go to Trav, right? Where the fire resist gets much more important. Or more even than that, Durance, because Ghoul Lords drop in the base. We just can't go in there with 20 fire resist. We need more like 50. Stinks that our spirit roll was so low on the old magic absorb, but I think 3 is the absolute bare minimum. But 33 fast cast is still fine, even though we don't care a ton about it. It's still like a big chunk, and it gets us past 2 break points immediately anyway. Although I think the second one's at, what, 18 anyway, so... Or is it 10, 18, 25? I'd have to look it up. It's embarrassing when I don't know stuff like this, but you could also just look it up now. And we are backing out from there. We just want to pull them down as we can, because that is a huge, huge block of bros. Look at that. Yeah, that's nasty. Beautiful. Clinical. Gorgeous. Very good in all ways. 2-socket salad. I don't think we need it. Yeah, no. We've already got a couple other 2-socket ones with lower strength recs. Not that that should matter over much. I don't really perceive a world where I go under 60 strength. It's just so inconvenient to not be able to equip a plated belt if you get one. Or gauntlets, or... And we just run up here. You don't want to fight if there's like a huge crew of them across the water, right? Just skip those guys. Go fight somebody else. And they'll usually follow you, and then you don't have to fight with the big barrier in the way. Because you don't want to, you know, let them get you into a concave. You know, you just get totally tuned up. Single socket, meh. 2-socket, I mean, pretty decent. Like, because like with the stealth, you could totally just put that into a better armor later and still use it, which kind of stinks. But run walk is really good, and usually has me using stealth long after a normal person would keep it off. Because look, if you want to live, defensive stats are great, but there's nothing more defensive than avoiding damage in the first place. My friends that play Barbarian out there, they'll disagree. They'll say, you know, with reduction and defense and blah, 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 you won't even get hit. I'm telling you, if you run fast, you also won't get hit. And anybody can do that. Even a person who knows how to read, like a necromancer. Oh, don't like that. Just backing out a little bit. Getting Overwatch fire from across the pond there. Feels real bad news, bears. We just need to push through this way. Nasty, nasty little setup that they had going on here. But we get through it all right. Our bone armor is now at a pretty solid... Right, yeah, doing 65, which is decent. You know, it's not a ton, but, you know, it's still 10% of our HP pool as a buffer for physical. Which all the time you notice that you get your bone armor chipped down, you just put it back on and ready to roll out, you know. And more importantly, you don't get hit recovery while it's just chipping at it, I don't think. So you just run on through, you break through to the other side, as it were. Get another level, yes please. More skeleton masteries. This is the story of how I put all my points into vitality. Still got, like, the HP that a barbarian would have in, like, Act 4 of normal, but, you know, look, they get 4 HP per vitality, so every vitality point is twice as good to them as it is to me. We all have our strengths, though. For example, they can't even get a clay golem. And that's sad. We're about to get out of the jungle and hit Bazaar, like, now, right? There's no way it's any longer than this. I say, lying. Yep, here we go. Here's my boys, the Thrashers. Thrasher by Neil Young. Fantastic song. All-time great one, in my opinion. Oh. Alright, so our, we note there that our heavy hitter, our mercenary, is on the wrong side of the pond from the guys, so we're just going to come in here, heal up the skellies, and have a much better fight now. There we go. Garbage. Alright, Bazaar. Oh no, lower Caress first, then Bazaar. That's right. There's an order of things. Well, you know, lower, then sewers, then Bazaar. If you ever don't remember how to say the word Bazaar, just remember how bizarre, how bizarre. That's how I always remember him. And you might think, that doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't have to. Three-socket kite shield. I think we already have one. Because... I need to check the shield size real quick. Kite's light, alright. Lower Carest is like a really good place to find runes on Hell. You just run around and open all these boxes. There's tons of them, and you can get like bears and stuff here. You can get straight high runes. And I think that's like how basically everybody gets them. Not me. I trade hundreds of chipped rubies for forum gold and then trade that for high runes. Two-socket winged helm. Not worth doing, right? Or maybe, though. I mean, no, it's 3-socket rune words that we'd be doing for the Merc. They did some new ones that I had never used before, but they, which I've been thinking of making for myself here. Basically, there's one for each elemental type, you know, so one that gives you big fire resist and max fire resist and, like, absorb and stuff, I think. And they all take an EO, and if I had one, I would definitely make, you know, one or two, but possessed means you can't curse them. The tree lurkers get knocked back from getting hit, which is really annoying when you're trying to get them killed. But basically, boxes, you know, they can all have the chance to do a rune drop, and there's just so many boxes here. And the place has the right treasure class. Because not everything can drop everywhere, and some places in the game, although they might have sorted it out, some places in the game, like the pit in Act 1, actually, like, drop better stuff than, like, places in Act 5 do. Probably because it was an oversight, but, you know. Nightmare, you'll get no such runes, but I just believe in opening boxes. That's just something I just think people should. But it's a totally decent way to find bases in Nightmare, because they have, you can still get like a unique item from whatever, but they have a higher chance to be non-magical. So, you know, just open everything, especially if you're looking, you know, for a 4-socket sword or a 4-socket polearm or a key, you know, any old thing. Ghostly ones can't be cursed either. But all falls down when the real hidden shows up. Just a matter of whether or not the merc wants to focus on a good target, right? And we all like to work at our own pace. You know, you don't want to be lectured by a guy whose whole thing is bringing people back from the dead on how to swing with a spear. I mean, imagine how annoying that would be. But you couldn't say anything about it on account of being afraid how he might turn you into one of those skeletons you're always seeing. It's like, yes, we could all fight if we wanted. If we wanted to. We could all fight. There we go. Yeah. Siggies? No, those are battle boots. Those are... I don't remember. Immortal Kings? Alders, right. Okay. Does Psyche even have boots? It's been so long. Anyway, Alder is the shape-shifting set for druids. It's actually a very good set. It's got some good stuff in it. You know, these boots particularly aren't that amazing, right? 50 fire resist is very good, though, and they let you run, you know. It's a good set. We'll put them in there in case we ever make a hardcore druid, right? If I made a druid, I'd probably make, like, the worst druid, because summons are bad, and I love them. Summoning druid, like, can't work. You can get, like, some work out of it, but it doesn't work. You know what I mean? So... we're going to try to find this old Hey, Ruined Temple, right in one. I just want a soul rune. Is that so much? Spider Magis. Spider mages are nasty little guys. But they're okay. You just stab them, slow them, pop them, squeeze them. Oh my goodness. And then we'll get some stat points for, you guessed it, vitality. Tell him what he's won. 10 more HP, baby. And every time you see Alcor, you can get 20 hit points from the potion and 10 from vitality. Whoops. Ring is trash. Kick a skull pile. Find nothing, but it's about sending a message, right? And there should be 2 sewers entrances. Whoa, those guys are... Oh, those are my guys. I'm like, they're quick! They're mine. Those revives are very good, not least because they don't really look like the other act characters, so I probably won't confuse them with them. But, you know, they're very, very fast. They get in there, they get on, get the work in. Resist Lightning Shrine will either be good or irrelevant. We'll see which. Alright, so Feeders and Preserve Dead. And Horrors and Resurrected guys. Not a super dangerous role for sewers, right? There's still room for one more. I think there's room for one more mob on the table besides the stinky boys that live in the sewer water. Hey, L chest. We gotta go around, but worth it. I mean, if we know where a gold chest is, we're gonna open it. No matter what's inside, no matter how many regular mana potions there are in the world, I will find my way to the other side of the water. We are, however, going to do a quick little town portal redux there. I'm like, come on, let me in. Alright, well, a flawless amethyst isn't nothing. I don't care about it, but perfect amies are like a currency. I forget what they're used for. Like, as perfect gems go, amethysts are like one of the ones that you sort of want. But all of them have like some value in moss. I think over the course of my forum life, I must have traded, you know, thousands and thousands of chips and perfects and other sorts of gems, and, you know, other people wouldn't have spent the time, but I thought it was worth it. And then later, when you turn them into something good, I think it's worth it still. Not a super bad poison, just kind of annoying. And there's some helmet that gives your dude cleansing aura, which I think interacts with meditation aura, and I think prayer, which is super cool. Maybe. Like, maybe it would make prayer actually good for healing your guys. That would be a sight. But you need an EO rune for, like, all of them. It's like, I forget, I think it's like a shale rune at the top, and then it's like EO in the middle, and then the element of the thing you're trying to get at the end, you know. So you'll have, you know, like a Tau rune for the poison one, and so on. We're still trying to find that sort of thing. My last run on normal, we walked in and we just like immediately walked in to the lever to drop the water down. Which, why do we even have that lever, right? They're like, oh, you want to go deeper into the sewers? Well, follow me. Like, who? Literally who? Whomst, as they say. We got weirdly separated there. I thought they were going to tele to me, but they didn't, so we're just going to TP to reposition. A very typical move. Strategic town portals. Tactical town portals. They're all the same. At last, my lever has come along. My Roman days are over. Multi-shot cold enchanted. Multi-shot on these guys is pretty nasty. But we'll just get a fellow on him, and then we'll get him down in no time. I said in no time. Oh, right, because we didn't kill the guys that resurrected them naturally. But this isn't like a sketchy run, because we know we killed most of what was on the run, so whatever is left is not going to be that much of a problematic, you know, construction for us. And we get to upper. '24 attack rating. Wow, this is worthless. Poignard. Let's get another big ol' beater. So much work to see. A one socket bill. Worthless. Well, you know, they can't all be winners. Hey, that guy's still alive. I mean, at least a while. A forgotten reliquary. Oh, that's good. We're like so over cap on. No, we'll do that ring, right? We'll keep the mana actually, because we don't want to be like super over cap on our cold resist, and we're still over cap there. What do we lose? 5 light resist, replenish, which is useless for 40 mana. Well, you know, we just need a better ring. It doesn't mean we need to keep on using this one where the cold is entirely over cap. We have way too much cold resist on random stuff, but you know, sure we need new boots, sure we need new gloves, but you know, what are you gonna do, right? Wait, my Merc got popped? Maybe my man got poisoned or something. Like, no point in checking a weapon ever again. There are better weapons than Spirit, but you do not find them in the store. 16k for the Merc now, yikes. Fidala's... Would it be worth losing the magic find to get the bit of speed? Maybe. And of course, he heals when he hits our guys, so we gotta do more damage than he can heal. More skeletal mastery. Pretty soon out of hard points to put there. And then what do you do? Oh god, I don't know. Not care as much about your levels ever again? Oh, that was... Why would I... Okay, don't hit a fire shrine, right? That did half of my hit points. Oh my god. If I die to a fire shrine in hell, I'm gonna scream. You will see a very human performance out of me. Not least because I will remember that I said this. Just filling up our stash with trash. Like, that's my guy's meteor. That's the other thing about having the casters, right? There's no way to see with fire on the ground if it's your meteor or not. We got it! We got it! We got it! Yes, yes, yes! That's a soul rune, baby! Oh, it's time to blow this popsicle stand of fair play and learn how to make the inside rune word. Raltier tells soul. This isn't the best base for it, but it is good enough, and we will make one. $13 meditation aura, 250 enhanced damage. Is it always that high? Yeah, 260 is the max, so that's pretty good actually. And then 4 to crit strike out of the 6 you can get. Yeah, I mean, very decent, 13 aura rather than, it could get higher, but you don't really need it to be higher. All right, there we go. We more than double his damage, and of course, we're about to have a great aura as well. Now, we are going to hold on to this Strength Halberd because this is what you use for boss fights. You got to have Crushing Blow. We won't need mana regen when we're fighting Mephisto or Diablo, right? So we'll swap it out there. But for everything else, there's MasterCard. And now we have gotten all of the things that we needed to get for this run to really get off of the ground. Of course, we still need more fire resist, but maybe we'll find a solution to that soon, and if not, we'll probably just make an Ancient's Pledge and eat the loss of CBF for Durance. I don't want to go to Trav with 20 fire resist, right? I don't. It's not my idea of a great time. And if we go to Pledge, that'll also get our lightning resist to pretty close to cap. Yeah, and that'll be very comfy as well. So that'll probably be a good choice. Losing CBF, losing the other good parts of Rhyme, that's fine. We'll put it back on later. But we don't even have a Ral rune to make a pledge, though. But we don't have any rune words like on the horizon that are like the thing that I'm targeting being able to make now. We've got, what I call the big five, with lore and stealth and rhyme and spirit and insight. Those are the five you want taken care of before you get to the middle of Nightmare, which is where we are here. So just on time. And now we will find that we need to worry about potions tremendously less. And in fact, we'll probably never drink another mana potion as long as the Merc's alive. Which just feels so good. We have decent lightning resist, but we don't want to be, too hasty. Blood Diver, you've been shocking hits in the light sky. It doesn't work. We'll have to work on that one. We got to workshop our Holy Diver thing there. Got to get away from this terrible impression. Got to get away. Thought it said Eo Rune for a second, but that's Eo Staff. Rotthorn the Hungry. We're gonna... Because you see how our mana just, like, chunks up. It's wonderful. And if we just had a few more pieces that gave us mana, then it would be so fast that you could scarcely see it increase at all. It's a pretty big difference between level 13 and level 17 on the aura, but also insight is a thing that we will make again if we get a better base for it. That's an immediate remake. Like, our spirit is good enough, and I may not prioritize it, but if we get, like, even just an ethereal exceptional base for it, we'll be moving heaven and earth to get a better insight, because merc damage is so important. Maybe we'll get a G-face off Mephisto, and then we'll be, like, in our ideal circumstances. It's so nice to have meditation. It's so nice to have stats more of where we want them. It is not nice to be running around with Curse, but I just expect it to run out pretty soon. Yeah. theoretically, running anywhere with Curse on you is bad practice, and one should not do it. I shouldn't have drank that to get them down. Yeah. So now we have full rejuves, little rejuves, and then, you know, a gentleman's belt. Some of everything. Blue Partisan could theoretically have, like, a very strong modifier, but it could not theoretically be stronger than my Insight. You can put, like, Insight on an Iron Golem thing, but, you know, if it dies, you just gotta get another one, right? And I've never been able to keep an Iron Golem alive forever. Ooh. Alright, Holy Shock on the enchantment. That's not so bad. That just adds the damage to him, you know. We'll get a little bit of AoE, but... he's Fire Enchanted and Holy Shock Enchanted. And we don't need an Arbalist for anything. Alright, we're walking into Trav with 20 fire resist. We need to be very, very careful. We do have a ton of hit points, so, you know, there's that. Hey, we got one of them out front. That's very good. Now we've got more of them. That's not so good. We're going to bounce. We don't want to let all of our guys get melted. I think, actually, they would be probably kind of fine for a bit. The difference between Trav 1 and Trav 2, right, is on Trav 2, you've got some summon resist points. 44 resist all. Now, if I'm not mistaken, your creatures don't get the malice to... resistances for your difficulty like your Merc does, so I think that's a true resist, and actually, if they were at 0, I think we'd know. But this is, you know, we can just keep them decrypt, and if our guys are eating all these Hydra shots, and now we'll just heal them again, right? This is fine. And we'll just back up, draw them away from the full crew. We don't want to, like, be fighting in the middle of all these Hydras, right? And repositions are possible and achieved. There we go. There's a council member. You know what's real fun? Making one of them your minion. Join me. No, maybe you can't. Yeah, no, you can't use them for revives. That's right. But we get the old flail. There's probably still one of them in here, because I think we only... Nope, yeah. Yes, old Ismail Vilehand. But he's cold enchanted, you know, you just don't want to be around him when he pops. And they drop a bunch of stuff like they always do, and none of it's good, like it often isn't, but that is okay. That's not why you fight the council. You fight the council to be able to go further in. Because the rune we need for all the cool helmet rune words is EO here, which, as you see, is higher than any rune we found so far. It's a solidly medium rune. You could expect to get it like off of your Nightmare Forge, maybe. You know, that would be a decent middling pull there. Impossible? Nothing is impossible if you follow your heart. Do we go down here with the resists as they are? I mean, I don't feel like we have too strong of a choice, right? I mean, we could farm Countess until we get a Rowl or the means to make one for a pledge. That's not a terrible choice. Okay, now it'll let me resurrect him. Good. But we'll just, we'll try to make it work, Endurance. Because if I just don't walk into the fire, we'll be fine, right? Right. Hey, KP, how's it going? We are crushing it. We've got our revive train going. Hey, 75 fire resist from the shrine, though. Very good indeed. Let's keep on rolling through. Need to find Endurance 2, and then the waypoint. But yeah, look at me, level 48 in hardcore, still alive, still kicking, still exploding the corpses. We got a couple of the bases, so we got like the Spirit rune word for the weapon and the Insight rune word for the mercs. So we're definitely getting online when it comes to like the mid game power stuff. Stygies, super annoying, but if you just decrypify them and run away, you usually can do all right. Gotta remember that the fire magic here is likely to be ours, but that just means don't worry about our guys stepping in it. Obviously, we're still not going to be stepping in it. Sketchy, not so bad. Burninating. Yes, you know, it grows ever more fancy. And some of them, you know, now we've got Revive, which we've had for a while, but now we can get, you know, an amount of fallen foes in their form, but, you know, even cooler. Which, let me tell you, it is a good way to make yourself panic. You're like, oh, they're coming right at me! And you're like, oh, wait, no, those are my friends. But really, if you run away from your own summons, that's just showing good discipline, right? Like, you shouldn't be trying to be close to any creatures on the ground. If there's an enemy around, right, your creature should be running at it. So if you run away, that's okay. I love Skelemancer. Skeleton, Necromancer, my beloved. It's the coolest way to play the game, I don't care. There's a Skyrim mod where you can be a Skelemancer there. Oh, it's wonderful. Because we all know that summoning in Skyrim is underwhelming and should have had skeletons. that you built and that traveled with you, not just pulled up from the ground. Find Necromancer, so yeah, you know it is. The mod I was using, whichever, you know, the major rework of all of the trees and stuff. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Fanaticism, Stygian dolls, extra strong. No, that is rough. Oh, and there's 2 packs in there. All right, we're gonna walk around the wall here. That is rough. That is so rough. Glad. So that's, if you see Fanat, you gotta reevaluate. If we were in hell, I would actually leave right now, and we would just do this all over again. 2 loading staves, tedious recharge. Yeah. You know, it's all about whether or not you can make it work. Because the thing to me was, you got like body parts to make your skeletons at bone altars, and that was cool. But then it became, you know, man, we gotta carry a lot of ribs around, and then, oh, no, 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 no. Alright, we gotta be real careful there. That was a conviction aura, which drops your resistances by, depends on the level. It's probably like 60% at this point. So you absolutely do not play if you see that. It will melt all of your guys very quickly, and then, of course, there's just you, and you'll melt too. Conviction is another maybe turn the game off thing, like get out. You have to figure out what's going on. See, this is a pack that's not dangerous with Conviction, but there are guys around that make it dangerous with Conviction. Because all of our guys are getting tremendously trucked on by just a couple of casters in the back. And there's another one here. Yeah, that was a super rough situation, but we're fine now. Conviction with the double pack. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta... But you hear me say it all the time, but a huge portion of being able to live in Diablo Hardcore is just being able to look at something and know if it can kill you. Because if you do that, and you know and react properly, then you probably won't get killed by it. Probably. You still could. It's not going to save your life to say, oh no. But you usually have about 1 second. About one. That's the difference between living and death and hardcore, and you just have to be able to seize it, right? It's not it's not a forgiving game, but it's one where you can evaluate danger beforehand, even if it's just like if I'm on Durance 2 in hell and I get Ghoul Lords and Gloams and Stygian dolls, then I'll probably just reload and try to not get Gloams. You don't want every single bad mob on your roll for a zone. Just do it again. It's so nice to have infinite mana now. Oh, man, is it ever. I mean, arbitrarily large. It's not infinite. But you don't run out. And you never have to drink a potion. And that's just... It's such a wonderful way that the game transitions in style. Once you get insight where you're like, oh, I guess I'll just do anything I want with my mana pool. When you get it on, like, a sorceress and you go from being so mana hungry to being, like a beautiful bird flying free in the sky, like, oh, it's good stuff. Meditation aura. It's so good. One thing I would do one of my favorite characters that's very passive. You only play it with people. It's called an aura den, and you just try to get every aura you could possibly get for maximum like beneficial effect to your friends, right? And it's great fun. And this guy has conviction, but he was walking through a field of already dead bodies. No danger there. It's about what has conviction, right? Because if you get a conviction with an extra strong lightning enchanted merc, you die from it. A broadsword is Island Hearts. We already have one. We do not need two. We're just gonna leave it. We've already ID'd it. The game now has a thing where it keeps track of all the things your character has ever ID'd, and it gives you like a bonus once you've gotten all of them. And by a bonus, I mean a cosmetic thing. This is very cool, and I'm all about it. But I made like a sweet necromancer who became like the archmage of the college. I'm like, oh, so you guys hate necromancers? Shame. Look at my hat. Look at my robe. Look at where I live. But I keep thinking of doing another Skyrim playthrough. There's some mod where I don't remember the name of it. I saw a post of it on the subreddit or whatever, where basically like you get like some new home base, like maybe it's a blimp airship or something, but you can collect like it basically just gives you, you know, a place to collect all the stuff in the game. Whereas you could put everything in a box, this actually is like, you know, it keeps track of it or whatever. And that very much appeals to me. You know, I consider collecting all of the junk in a game to be the highest form of success, right? Yeah, you know, and I quite agree. And that's the thing is all of the quest lines would be better served by you not running the guild at the end, by not becoming the champion of it, and by instead like, you know, like the companions of Whiterun, literally like 5 better choices. Dark Brotherhood, I mean, depends on how you do things there. It can make sense there. It doesn't have to. That one, I'm for it, you know, on one case and not on the other. The Archmage College, overtly ridiculous. The Thieves Guild, again, without the character... I shouldn't do this comparison because it's hurtful, but I'll say it. You remember the last episode of Game of Thrones where they're like, who has a better story than Bran the Broken? And you're like, literally everybody. And that's how Skyrim feels, but it's like, who could in this whole place run things better than you? I'm like, I don't know, anybody. You know, the guy in the kitchen? The dude with the carrots? Like, all I did was destroy your enemies. That don't mean I should run things. Unique Bastard Sword? This prevents monster heal. Other than that, entirely garbage. We don't need prevent monster heal, so we'll just drop it. You gotta ID it, though. You have to ID things, you know, because otherwise the game won't say that you ID'd it. If it had something like Crushing Blow on it, then it would be worth maybe holding on to throw onto an Iron Golem in the future, right? Sounds like Spin Mod. Yes, I haven't played it yet, but I did see it, like a picture of it, and they talked about it, and I thought, this is right up my alley. But what happened was, because this is when I was playing Skyrim, and while I was playing the Skyrim Remaster, I, like everybody else, was like, wouldn't it be cool, guys, if they made an Oblivion Remaster? I would play that, you know, a more modernized Oblivion, and then it came out, like, while I was playing Skyrim, basically. The Oblivion Remaster came out. And then, so, you know, we abandoned our our dreams of playing more modded Skyrim, for our dream I thought never to be realized, but suddenly appearing, of new Oblivion, which, entertainingly enough, is basically the exact thing that happened with Diablo, although I wasn't playing it beforehand, Who among us even dared to dream that Diablo, after all these years, would get an expansion with a new class in it? With a new class, right? Some new rune words and a new ladder is all that a reasonable person would ever even dream to wish for. But look at us now. I mean, sure, I'm still playing a Necromancer. I'm like a Total War Warhammer player where they're like, ooh, great, there's something new in the game. Boots up Karl Franz again. Nope, nope, nope. And the thing about Stygies is if you can just throw a Decrypt and run away, then you're fine. Especially with the Holy Freeze Merc, which, again, we've said many times. There are many schools of thought, and there are some people that think other mercs are appropriate. I am telling you that what I believe is that in hardcore, living is more important than killing. And that's why I rock the Holy Freeze Merc, and you should too. And there are problems with using the Merc, not least that he shatters bodies with damage sometimes, which is inconvenient. But for my money, being alive in a game when losing your life means you have to start all the way over, it's better than killing something better. And on bosses, the interaction between Holy Freeze, Cold Damage, Decrypify, and Clay Golem makes it to where they're basically just crawling, and you can do what you gotta do. So you haven't tried the remaster, but you play the original. It's a very different game. It's more Oblivion restyled than I would consider it remastered, because the differences in leveling up are so considerable, which affect every aspect of the game, right? You're an Oblivion player. You know how hard it is to level a character perfectly, right? To the point where if you want maximum stat growth, especially in the early game, you literally can't play the game, right? You gotta... What I did was I bought a house and I would level up against skeletons in the house, blocking to perfectly get my 5 endurance points. I would play for so many hours before I even did anything, and that was how I started every Oblivion playthrough. Now, every level, 12 stat points to distribute, right? And instead of major and minors working how they used to, now they all level you up. Just majors give you more points towards the next level than minors do, and the minors take a little longer to go. So basically, always how they should have been, with no downsides. So all you have to do is go. But also, because your minors level you up, you can just spam a bunch of points in mysticism or whatever, and then, suddenly you can level up again without worrying about your stats. Which frees you to do anything, but it also makes every character, no matter what, very, very strong, right? Because Oblivion isn't built for you to have 100 strength at level 18, You can do it, but the game's not built for that. It's built for people with medium stat growth throughout, but you can really, really, because you can have... Oh, and you know how endurance was permanent? Now they changed it. So you get your endurance, and then it jumps your whole HP total historically, so you don't have to worry about doing it right away. But yes, it is an awesome change. It just makes it easier. It's a different game, but it's better. Other changes, the principal one that I would say, and I was so happy with, is that they stopped having the stats. You know how you would have male-female stat blocks for your characters? Now they have background stat blocks. So, it's like, this is a Khajiit from here, they have this stat block. This is a Khajiit of this style, they have this stat block. Which, to a guy like me, who loves to play female characters, a wonderful change, because it's so annoying. You want to play a character and then you have, bad stats because they think girls shouldn't be tough or whatever, which get absolutely all the way out of here, Bethesda. But hey, they fixed it. So, but like, if you want the wood elf that's good at shooting, you take that one. If you want, the Argonian that's good at whatever, you take that one. And it's not, a gendered choice anymore. You get to just play what you want to play. And of course, there's often hidden gendered things in those games still. I don't know if Oblivion has one, but in Skyrim, of course, as you probably know, but maybe not, damage and speed is determined by character height. So often the males of the races in Skyrim are slightly taller than the females of the races, so they run faster and do more damage. This is why also high elves are faster than other characters are, because they're the tallest ones. Because high elves they have like 1.08. And so like 1.00, that's standard, and a couple are shorter than standard, like female Bretons, like run slower and hit worse and stuff. And Nords are, I think, like 1.02 for women and 1.04 for men. So, you still get a bonus, but, and that's just a thing that matters. There is no way to adjust it in the game. There are definitely mods to allow you to increase your height. And in the event that you use them, they will have those effects on the game. That's a thing the game never tells you. But yeah, you'll notice it if you just build a character without armor on and run. You will feel the speed difference, because like it's 10% speed difference between a Bretonnian woman and a high elf male, which you can feel when you're running. Khajiit females are also like a little slower than the Khajiit males and stuff. So like whenever I did my level 1 speed run with a punch cat, I could have done it a little faster if I had rolled a male punch cat, but look, I have my principles. But yeah, so that's just one of those things where it's a small difference, but you will absolutely notice the run speed. The physical damage is not so influential that almost any character would ever notice, though. But you say, like, with Kvatch, you avoid it. Dude, same. It's more of a deal in Oblivion where, like, historically I have always avoided the gates. That's, like, what I do. In Skyrim, I just almost always avoid dragons. Look, I'm sure, since you said that you feel like I do about it. It gets in your way, right? Like, you don't... The first couple of times a dragon came down, I was like, oh boy, this is so cool. Or like when they attack a town or whatever. But then after that, I'm like, oh man, they killed the blacksmith, gotta reload the save. Oh, I'm just trying to get from point A to point B. Why is this dragon on me? Oh, they never dropped anything good. Oh, I already have, 400 bones. And, it goes from cool to annoying pretty quick. But no, I remember, because I learned that there was a speed difference, not from the internet, but from my own play of Skyrim. Because, like, whenever Legendary came out, right? Because it used to just be Master, but whenever Legendary came out, I became sort of, like, captivated with the thought of, like, how to do the early game the best way, what character to make, what order to do the early quests in, that kind of thing. And because of that, I started making exclusively orcs. Because I usually, like, I tend to make, like, wood elves. I love a wood elf archer, or like a Bretonnian summoner, Breton. I keep calling him Bretonnian, so like I'm playing Warhammer. A Breton summoner, that's another build that I love to do. But then I don't always build orcs, but objectively, orcs are the correct thing to choose for high-level Skyrim play. That every other choice is wrong. That's just the way it is. So I played a lot of orcs, but I started noticing, I'm like, man, it feels like I'm running faster than my other characters are, because you play a lot of a game, you get a feel for it. You run to High Hrothgar so many times, you get a feel for it. And I restart characters in Skyrim a lot. I get to like level 20 and I'm like, let's do that again one more time with feeling. But yeah, and exactly, because if I want to do the investigation of, Morthal, what I don't want in the climax of the action, when everything is coming to a head, is a dragon to come down and interrupt everything with his big old mouth. Or a stupid vampire attack. Man, talk about Dawnguard ruining your life, right? You just want to walk into Whiterun, and then all of a sudden the vamps are stabbing the lady that's doing her blacksmithing, minding her own. You said you wish they were more fleshed out. Yes, I wish they were more fleshed out as well. There's probably a mod for it, and I definitely intend to look for one someday. Assuming I have enough time to fulfill all of my gaming dreams, which I hope I will. Where is it? Up there? Nah. Probably over there, adjacent to entrance. I'm gonna assume it's not up there in that partial-looking room. Could be. No, 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 no. Man, Durance doorways. I remember playing this with a friend one time. He's like, how can you even see him? I'm like, well, you see, there's a tiny little, slightly more shadowy break in the line of the wall, and that's a door. He's like, I cannot see that. I'm like, it's there. You gotta trust me, it's there. Some places give you yellow doors, but you gotta open those, right? Where is it? It's gotta be there. Nope, 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 nope. There we go. This playthrough broke the entire economy with the greenhouses. Yep, yep, yep. That is a classic way to do it. But of course, getting paralysis poisons early, that is part of my master playthrough, or my legendary playthrough plan. You do that, and then you start growing them, and then pretty easy to get more. But there's the swamp fungal pods that get it, and then the canis roots out in the south over by Riften, which is a great way to make paralysis poisons. And you are quite right to note that they sell for so much. And they're just amazing, too, because you know how it is on a higher difficulty Skyrim if you play on it. Like, you just get animation locked by, like, a two-hander. They'll run up, and you can't even, like, bash them. All right, time for Durance 3. 19 fire resist is not enough, but we don't have a good way to get more, so we're just going to have to try to make it enough. No one in the whole entry room? That's not great. That means there's going to be a ton on the other side of this wall. We just need to pull it back a bit. They have a curse on them, too. We need to absolutely get some of them in here. Because this initial sort of jockeying for position is mega important. We do not want to be fighting a cursed mob out there. That, with the AoE damage they have, that has a way... Man, that's so much... That's so annoying. Alright, we got the guy pulled out at least. Because a cursed mob in this context is run-ending, potentially. With the AoE damage that they bring to bear, that all the mobs there bring to bear, the curse is just too easy to get totally out of control. But yeah, the greenhouse thing, my typical way of breaking economy is you can get like the fire plus soul trap enchantment, and you put them onto level 1 daggers. You know, you soul trap a bunch of petty gems, and then you make iron daggers and you sell them. Run away, gotta get away. We're gonna bounce out real quick. The reason we're doing this is just to preserve the skeleton count. Alright, 9 scrolls, that's plenty. Because once we get in this door, everything else is going to be a little simpler. But right now, this doorway is a brutal choke point. But now, we've got our own caster blob here, right? We're going to jump in here. We've got our casters. We've got a bunch of nonsense to come in from the sky. Brim Sparkfist, you know, he's got an aura enchant, but it's not conviction. If it is, you probably ought to leave. Tal Rune, decent. Definitely need one for purposes. We managed to get this guy out in the front. A Dole Rune? I've already got one, and I don't really need more, but that is sort of high up in runes. And, you know, Dolio gives you Delirium. Alright, so we want to clear the other side room, even though it's not, like, mandatory to do it. I just want a lot of room to run away from Mephi in the event that it happens, and I don't want any rude surprises. Now, of course, there's more mobs up above him, but we need to pull him, get him to come down. Ooh, a lightning resist shrine. That's nice. All right, I think. Yeah, we have got to get out of here. Nope, that's our firewall. We're all right. All right, yeah, and we'll just chill here and kill him, keeping him very slow. Just oh so slow. Mephi is a cakewalk on Nightmare. All the bosses are easier on Nightmare than they are on regular for a Summon-Mancer because you're not off the ground yet in normal. You probably don't even have Summon Resist before Mephi's here. You don't have your plus to skills that lets your Golem be decent even without a bunch of other stuff. Feed the big guy a little thing. Keep the Decrypt rolling. He's so slow. Now, we should have our Crushing Blow thing on, and that's why he's still up rather than getting chunked down, but it's not so important for Mephi since he lacks the ability to really chunk through all of your guys. Even though, again, without resist, he can just kill them all. And they're actually probably about to die. We're going to go ahead and heal them real quick just so we don't have to deal with that. And that was a timeout on all of the revives, which is fine. And just like that, my man is in the tank. Give me something good. Give me something good. '20 strength amulet. Quaff of Glory is not good, but it's important to ID it. Cathan's Visage is also not good, but it's important to ID it. Like, we should sell that stuff. Anyway, wonderful! Act 3. Put it in the bag. Stick a fork in it. Now, like I say all the time, everybody hates Act 3, but not me. It's Act 4 that I hate. It's so samey. It's so samey, right? It is. Level 49, doing so good. One more point in Skelly Mastery, and then we'll be at base 20, and we'll have to put points somewhere else. Which, without doing the bit, it's like, once you get there, you don't really care about leveling up ever again. Nah, you can put points into Revive, and those are not wasted points. Now, the problem is, though, that we still have very low fire resist, and it's more important to have it here, maybe, than even before. It's not very low, I shouldn't say that. It's 20, which is just too low, not very low. But if I can get some boots... Well, you know, worth a shot. Alright, so Act 4, when you walk out this door, you can die. But we're fine. It happens because you don't get your guys down the stairs and you get jumped by, like, a pack of extra dangerous dudes. So you just gotta... walking out of the door, very sketchy. Doom Knights with extra fast, that's pretty rough. Doom Knights as your guys are pretty nice, though, so that'll be nice. Let's get this revive train rolling, eh? Bone Wand, this is... Oh, it's... yeah, Sanders? Yeah. You know, it's not worth holding on to. But you have to ID it. Obviously, you have to. These gloves, because they could be... Ooh. Yeah, we'll just put those on. Max light resist at the cost of 10 cold resist. Lose a little magic find, still worth. Much rather have max lightning resist. Because max fire resist, it's very good, and fire is very important, but you can positionally avoid it. Lightning... If we roll Gloams, we're not going to be able to avoid, but at 75, we're quite comfortable, and that'll be very good indeed. Cold Resist is not very important at all in this act, and to the extent that it is, it's avoidable, so A very nice blue to ID. In socketed ones, you want to check, because there's a rune word called white. I think it's white. And, no, bone? Maybe it's called bone. But you, it goes in a wand that's gray, but you can have skills on it. And then it gives you, like, Posed and Boyne skills, but, like, 4 to Skeletal Master and some other stuff. So, potentially, you can get a huge chunk of summon skills on it. And maybe even make it better than using Spirit. Maybe. You just want to check. Because Spirit, a lot of the things that are good about Spirit, like the fast cast, aren't as influential for the summoner, because while fast cast is very good, it's not like critical like it is when, you know, you're a sorceress, say, or a paladin, or any other principal damage caster rather than supplemental damage caster. Hey, unique executioner sword. The sword guard. And now this is like, this is an interesting sword. We'll probably stick it in the box just because I like to lie to myself and say that I'll build a barb someday. It's interesting because the requirements are really low, so you could get it at 85 strength. It's got good damage, but it's like, it's not very good. It's not very good. It's just a sword, and you could theoretically wear it. You guys look like the Army Men from the PS1 game. Dude, that game was so good. I didn't have it. I had a demo disc for my Dreamcast that had Army Men on it, though, and it was wonderful. I play that demo all the time. That was one of the great demo discs of the world, right? That one had, like, I think it had Tony 2 on it. The Tony 2 demo, that one, oh, man. No, I never played Diablo on consoles, but I did, or the first one, I mean. Unique Arbalist, not amazing, but is something. But I actually, when I first played Diablo 3, it was on couch co-op with a couple of my friends. You know, like, we worked together, and then we were, like, all crashing in the same apartment sort of thing, and we would just, like, get off work, run down there, and, you know, have a good old party. Open wounds, knockback, magic find. 212 lightning damage. Look, we're not going to use it. And it's just not good enough to worry about making into a golem. The only things you want on a golem are like crushing blow or auras and stuff. But you gotta ID it. For the record. If I make a boson, it's gonna use a Bariza, okay? Like, that is what it's gonna be. It's not gonna be anything else. Bariza or Wind Force. And I prefer Bariza. Yeah. Yes, and the Tony Hawk 2, the demo had a different mechanical functionality. So when you did like a grip at the top of a vert ramp, you could jump off of it to continue your lines. And so it would like reset your balance from manuals and stuff, which oh man, I really enjoyed. They gave you the best level. They gave you the best level in the whole game with a full 2-minute run. Like, oh man. I ended up buying it for the Dreamcast too, but that demo, totally elite. There were some great demos for the Dreamcast, man. The Skies of Arcadia demo, you could play it for, like, ever. Man, as I probably talked about before, I really loved that system, and that was like the first time that a company broke my heart, and I never let it happen that bad ever again. But, you know, like, I was a kid, and, you know, I had saved up for years, you know, to pay for, like, my half of it for the family, like, and then they just abandoned me, you know. It was rough. It was a rough hit. It's like my best friend, he had Sega systems, and my family had Nintendo systems, and, like, and he, you know, I'm not blaming him for it. It's not his fault. But, you know, he had convinced me how great it would be for us to both get the Dreamcast, and I agreed with him, and, you know. Still, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Crazy Taxi, you know, Power Stone, Sonic Adventure. It was a great system. They just abandoned it. Phantasy Star Online, that's a good one. Paradise Lost and all that. There's the Simpsons meme, maybe you've seen it, of like with the like Homer in bed, and, like, you know, the father holding onto his hand, you know, you were too beautiful to live. That one. I never really watched the show. I just see the memes. I should watch the show. I bet it's amazing. All the memes I see are so funny. I wasn't allowed to watch Simpsons whenever I was growing up. It was banned in our house, you know, that kind of thing. And then by the time that I was old enough to watch banned media on my own time, South Park already existed. So, you know, that was the one I was watching that I wasn't allowed to. But yeah, because my family had the NES and the SNES and the 64, and then we got the Dreamcast. And that was the last one, you know, in my era there. Yeah, everything I've ever seen from it is amazing. I'm pretty sure my parents didn't say so in so many words, and I haven't really asked them about it, but I think they didn't want us to watch The Simpsons because they made kids being rude a matter to be, like, laughed at. And my parents firmly believed that being rude should never be, like, rewarded, you know? You know, like, Urkel being rude was different because Urkel was awkward and didn't realize that he was annoying somebody who, you know, was the object of the joke, and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's different, like, there's different kinds of rude, right? But a person just, like, being a jerk to their teacher, that's, like, the unacceptable kind. At least I think that's what was going on. Because, honestly, from what I've seen of The Simpsons, it's not that objectionable. And, honestly, not a thing to ban, but, I mean, I've heard of people banning SpongeBob. I guess because they hate things that are funny. You walked to school with the girl wasn't allowed to watch Power Rangers, but they're heroes. I loved me some Power Rangers back in the day. We had the movie and the Ivan Ooze movie, and then, like, the original episode on VHS I had gotten, and then, like, you know, all the other stuff was, like, you know, what we could manage to see on TV, or, you know, but Secret of the, or Ivan Ooze. Come on down to Ooze City and let's get sticky. Are you bored with your work? Are you bored with your life? I think one of the tests for whether or not you're a totally regular person is if you can stop yourself from relating a bunch of references and quotes from things whenever they come into your mind. And anyway, that's why I totally get it when people think that I'm a regular guy. Her parents said it was too violent. Okay. Fortunately, my parents did not ban things based on that. It would have had to be like, if it was like gory, my mom might have like tried to put her foot down about it, but like not just violent, right? Not least because I was a very literal-minded person, and you know, if you can read about it in the King James version, then you should be able to watch it on TV. That's not true. That would be a terrible rating system. But that was my idea as a kid. You know, like, if we could talk about people getting all chopped up and stuff, then I should be able to watch Hercules on TV. I would have flipped if they didn't let me watch Hercules and Xena, though. I loved Greek mythology and classical stuff then, as I do now. And those shows are total cheeseball nonsense. But I loved them, and I would have been very, very rebellious about that one. But everyone in my family loved those shows, too. As with everything, the rules were only rules unless mom or dad wanted to make an exception for it. So, like, we weren't allowed rated R movies, but when my dad wanted to own Saving Private Ryan anyway, then, you know, we were kind of allowed to watch it. Just don't watch it around mom. You know, rules. Rules. My favorite and funniest one of these, which I think is hysterical to this day, is... So, as I really like musicals and stuff, and they're really big in my family. On, like, Sundays, we were only allowed to watch, like, religious movies or, like, Rodgers and Hammerstein-style musicals and stuff, you know. Not like Disney movies, but, you know, like The Sound of Music and whatnot, so I've seen that a ton. But, you know, The King and I, that kind of thing. But... one musical, which you may have heard of, is called South Pacific, and I guess my mom was worried that we would, like, you know, ogle the women wearing the bathing suits in one of the scenes, gonna wash that man right out of my hair or whatever, so she kept it on top of the refrigerator, you know, so that, you know, if we wanted to watch it, we could still watch it, but she didn't want us to, like, have it to ourselves, which is so funny to me. It's so funny. Like, it's literally just like a musical. Like a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, too. Not even like, you know, it's hardly Cabaret. Which we did not own, unsurprisingly. But I think there was a bunch of songs in it that she just didn't want us singing, so she didn't want us watching it all the time. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with the song, There Is Nothing Like a Dame, but do you want your 6-year-old singing it at school? You don't, you know? You want them to sing, These Are a Few of My Favorite Things, you know? Or How Do You Solve a Problem Like Maria, but not, There is nothing like a dame, nothing in the world. You know, you can get in trouble for that. It's not great. Nothing smells like a dame, you know, like, it's not a totally normal song. But it's a bunch of GIs talking about how they miss women, you know. But, you know, you could just watch Mulan instead and have What Do You Want a Girl Worth Fighting For, you know. Which is, you know, a better choice. But the ladies love... You can't sing but, like, half of a bar of a Disney song, though, or they'll shoot you. They will come up to your house and, like, load a bunch of paintballs and then just shoot you right in the back with paintballs until you say, hey, and you're like, oh, sorry, I didn't know I couldn't do that. And you're like, you got me this time. You got me this time, mouse with a paintball gun. This is a very, very easy plains. This is probably the easiest plains you can get in terms of density. Here's Izzy. We're just gonna crawl him over here and get to the long, long work of getting him down. Or actually, he's taken plenty of damage here. We won't need to even go to Crushing Blow. He is crawling. And this is why you Holy Freeze, right? Decrypt plus Clay Golem plus Merc. He swings, what, once every... I think that's like 180 frame swing. So a very, very, very weakened Izual. Everything's coming up roses. It is. It is a great track. Why do you think you can sing this song? I don't have a good German accent. It goes in with my not very good Russian accent, and sometimes I'll just throw in a little bit of an Italian in there. It'd be like, hey, what's the big idea? Why do you do this? You know, just every bad accent in Europe thrown together. Like, oh, my German accent's fine. It's got a touch of Bavarian on it. No, but the only impression I can be cheerful about is my Italian one, because I'm allowed to do that one. I'm allowed to do anything I want. I'm American. But you know what I mean. Be like, hey, what's the big idea? You know, dumb stuff. But I don't think I would want to live anymore if I couldn't do a bad Sopranos impression anytime I wanted. Round shield. You know what I want to see? I want to see a round shield that is orange. The unique round shield Moser's is massive resist all, and I would love to get it and throw a perfect diamond in it before we go to hell, but you know, you get what the game gives you. But my favorite Italian impression is actually like a very complex one, because in college, one of my friend's roommates was a guy from New Jersey, so we called him Jersey, of course. But he spoke, you know, like a guy in New Jersey. So, like, instead of saying Mario, he would say Mario, which, okay. But, you know, we'd be like, it's me, Mario. You know, Mario, it's from Jersey. I made a pizza for you, Mario. You know me. Come on. And just, like, doing all the Mario things, but in the New Jersey silliness. That was our idea of entirely high comedy. Like, that to me was... They should have put us on Showtime at the Apollo doing a set for those jokes. But they never invited us. Oh, look at that. We walk into City of the Damned, immediate waypoint, immediate River of Flame, and I actually don't want to deal with that mob set, so we're just skipping it. That was a pretty annoying mob set, so we're just skipping it. That's awesome. Alright, here we get Grotesques and Corpulence. Really good so far. That's 2 easies. You've been saying Mario wrong? No, it's the people in Jersey that say it wrong. Look, when I lived in New York, I knew a bunch of, you know, New York Italians. And let me tell you, they say so many words like a bunch of Goomba idiots. No Italian says mozzarella. Mozzarella. That's a New York and a New Jersey thing. Like, that's not how to say it. No one does that. There's actually a hysterical episode of The Sopranos where they go to Italy, and Paulie has just the worst time because he wants things to be like how they are in Jersey, and he thinks he knows like what it means to be Italian, and then like they go there and everyone just like is way different than they're expecting, and all the cultural things are different. You know, it's sort of like they tell themselves, you know, that they have this connection to the old country, and then they go there and they find out they don't really have it. It's a great series of episodes, really. Because, I mean, one of the greatnesses in The Sopranos is the way in which the show allowed us to explore the hypocrisies at the heart of the identity struggle of our main characters, right? Which, there's one great one where Tony's talking to his therapist, and he's talking about, like, all the problems that immigrants had, and, you know, people are calling him a criminal and all that. She's like, you know, that may be true, but what does the plight of Italian immigrants have to do with you and what you do for a living? And, you know, an overt theme of the show, but it's always funny because it's the little things too, you know. Americans have dinners, and, you know, the way that they have pasta and sauces and mains, and the sorts of coffees you're supposed to drink at certain times a day. You know, everything's a little different everywhere you go. Including the way you say Mario. It's me, Mario. All right. I mean, my favorite butchered word, which I think is everybody's favorite, like silly butchered Italian American word, is capicola, which is a delightful spiced meat, but they call it gabagool, and and every time I heard someone say it up there, I would just bust out laughing. I'm like, what is this goomba nonsense? And I should say, every time I say, look, it's coming from a place of love. You know, my grandmother, you know, had the papers from her mother immigrating, you know, touring Italy, you know, up on the wall. You know, I know where my family came from. We were a bunch of goomba silly folk too before we developed southern accents. I bet we used to say mozzarella like all of them. Well, the things I've said will not be a spoiler to you, but it is... If you like gangster stuff in general, which I really do, the films of Scorsese and so on, you know, if you like all of that, then I would consider The Sopranos as essential viewing, because it really... you have, like... Let's get out before the sun pops. Which they talk about overtly in the show, just like about how he feels, you know, like... he came in at the end of this thing. But you have, like, the real trinity is like Godfather, Goodfellas, Sopranos, where you have beginnings of the mob, middles of the mob, and ends of the mob, like, in the historical, like, setting there, whereas, well, I mean, Godfather's more like middle, because you skip Prohibition and go to post-World War II. Pop culture stuff. Yeah, you know, the Jersey Shore, it does live large, but I will say that I knew a couple of guys in Long Island who absolutely were exactly like a stereotype, and I don't think they were doing it to be funny. But no, of course all stereotypes are so flawed, you know. Even one that's trying to be accurate and good-hearted is going to make a bunch of mistakes. And, oh, the explosions. And this is why. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. And that is how to play Necro. And with our infinite mana, we just do so many explosions. Because you, like, when they just put bodies up, you just start cracking them, right? We actually ran out of mana because we did like 100 corpse explosions, but we'll get it back in no time. Meditation Aura, too good. Rare gauntlets could be very good indeed. Rare gloves, among the better rares to see. Gloves and boots, right? 2 to jab and spear skills. What? That's annoying. I wouldn't wear them at level 30 on a Zon. No, but I guess as such I didn't know any New Jersey Italians. I knew New York Italians, but although I've never said it to their face, I think they're kind of the same. But, you know, you can't really tell people from New Jersey you think they're basically just like people in New York. Or tell people in New York that they're just like people in New Jersey. It's sort of like telling a person in Arkansas they're people in Mississippi. They're like, hey, look. I might be Arkansan, but I ain't like those guys over in Mississippi now. Y'all ain't supposed to talk to me like that. Like, I thought we were being respectful here. But there's a concept in sociology called the narcissism of small differences. And it is why people on one side of the river often hate people on the other side of the river much more than they hate people on the other side of the mountains. You know, when you're really close to the same as somebody, all those big differences are going to feel real significant to you. You'll be like, we don't sound anything alike. That guy's got a Georgian accent. The most funny example of that, I think, is that many, like, South American and Latin American people in general refer to Americans as Yankee, right? Which, a foul rune, two? No, I had a full inventory. I was like, there's no way it gave me 2 of them. And it didn't. But 1 is still very good. A foul off of the Nightmare Hellforge is totally legit. I don't think I need it for anything right now, but a foul is like all the way up here. So you see that is a 5 rune jump from our previous best one. And foul's in a lot of stuff that is good. I just don't think we're ready to make any of it right now. It's like, I'm thinking of just, like, putting a bunch of rubies into a shield, but I don't think we need it for Diablo. The thing is, though, I'm like, I'm at 75 fire resist, I have a shrine. Okay, I'm like, I don't have that much. Final point in Skelly Mastery, and now we have a choice to make. Do we get a point in Fire Golem, even though we don't need one, just because... Well, I mean, it'll get 1,100 life. I think we don't need to do that, and we can just... Look, if we pin a point and summon resist, it gets, like, irrelevant very quick. Do we just push... I mean, I guess we could just push more revives, but I hate to spend skill points on it. Corpse Explode for radius? I mean... Yeah, more revives is fine. The first points are the only ones that matter, right? Alright, let's see what kind of a mob roll we get here. They usually add 1 here, but we've got these guys, so... A very, very weak mob roll for this area. Not at all what you expect in terms of lethality. I mean, they vary, right? They vary. We're on the wrong side of things. We're on the wrong side of things. Nope, nope, nope. If you walk through like that, you have to be very careful about your position. It didn't look like I was being careful, but I was looking. Flying mobs have a way of showing up to body block you if you move through aggressively, though, so you do want to be more careful than I was being. Like, right there, we don't want to shoot that gap because we're just too worried about what could happen. Do we reposition here? No, I don't think there's a need to. Getting access to all of the corpse explosions you could ever want. Very nice. Oh, no, 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 no. We're in trouble. All right, we got out. Because even just being locked right there in between two guys is bad enough. I really need to be more careful about moving forward. These are low lethality mobs, which is making me a little careless about it. Like, if there were Moonlord variants or Venom Lord variants, like, we would not be behaving so recklessly moving through River of Flame here. But even... like, the contempt you can have for mobs that aren't very good at fighting can be lethal, right? You don't want to put no RESPECT on their name. Oh, well, that's our last portal. Very important to not run out of town portals. That will, like, if I die one time from not having portals, I'll be like, huh. It won't surprise me. But I will find it to be disappointing. And we're just going to swap the Magic Find boots, right? And then we lose a bunch of cold resist, but it takes us to 43 fire. I feel a lot more comfortable with that. And we just need to get all our guys inside here. And these dudes with their... oh my goodness, that's so many decrypifies. But with big light resist and big fire resist, we can be pretty confident in Diablo. We've got the movement to avoid the breath, and that just means it'll be fine, you know. These guys, the Oblivion Knights, they used to cast the Curse Iron Maiden until like 112, I think. So once upon a time, you could go in here and they would just... oh, it was awful. It was awful. We don't want to go in that way. That way is bad. We're going to go here and heal real quick. So they could just, you know, if you were like a melee character too, like I had a friend with the Barbarian, you know, like he always played Barb, this friend. And if Maiden goes on and you don't realize it, you can die in just like, I don't know, about a third of a second, depending on how you swing, maybe half a second. think. Just because we can be... Yeah, on the inside here, yeah. I was like, we can get him in the hallway, we'll be fine. They don't have any piercing abilities to make me worry, and we can just bail if we need, but... And then now we have these. It's a double unique pack that was in that room, but now we're in a better position to fight him anyway. And that dude, Vilepus, a very, very Diablo name for a villain. This is a sketchy thing. We might see all of our guys fall down and die, but there's not conviction here, so maybe it'll be fine. Yeah, he's got Aura Enchant, but it's Holy Thunder. Holy Thunder is not a... None of the holy ones... Holy Frost, bad, right? Because it slows you and it gets through cannot be frozen. But Holy Fire and Holy Thunder only do small amounts of elemental damage as an aura all the time and then put the damage onto the attack. They're not what I would consider true worries. Later, KP. Yeah, we're probably going to be... ending after we kill Diablo or die, you know, whichever happens. I imagine we'll kill Diablo, but it's been good hanging out. Thanks for chilling. Maybe I'll see you later on. Explosions! We are not checking the sockets on that sword until things cool down in this room a little bit. Two, blah. You're really just looking for 4 for a spirit base. Because although I don't intend to die, we could eventually die. And our future hardcore characters will be self-found rather than solo self-found. So that we can take advantage of, you know, the victories of the past in the event that we ever die. I would prefer to have this character forever. But that is not always how the world ends up. because revives, you get more revives per point, right? And they can be very nice as buffers. And they can be very strong indeed, depending on what you get. But of course, they're hard capped at that 3 minutes, so, you know, if you don't keep running... Whoops. Garbage. We want to clear these guys before Lord DeSace comes in, just because these casters across the wall, that's so annoying, right? That's so annoying. And our guys will get locked on them and won't know what to do. Fanat on him. We're just going to keep Decrypt and then try to run through. Of course, he's got extra strong, cursed, all the nastiness. But if we can get our guy to hit him, then that Fanat won't last forever, right? Let's heal. I feel like our guys with the... definitely starting to feel the pain there. $87 to life. Well, that is worth more than 8 resists. We'll hold on to that amulet, though. 87 life's a lot of life. Maybe it's not worth more than the resists, but it could be. Alright. Now just a little bit more, and it's time to fight the most dangerous guy. Oh, we got some real dangerous Phenom Lords down. Oh my goodness, that is a sketchy room. The guy's got multi-shot. That is so bad. We're gonna bounce here. We lost our guy. Yep. That is a super, super sketchy room. Fanaticism plus a ton of dudes. Alright, now we got a body. We can start cracking them. That's the thing, is like, if you get a body, you can get more bodies. Now we have so many revives that I absolutely cannot tell which one is mine, but we're just going to assume if they're grayish, then they're my friends. And if they're not, then we'll run away! Alright, with all of these guys fighting against him, it should be fine. Him being the big guy that we're about to pop out of the seal. Because they're extra fast, extra strong, extra blah blah blah. But if we have all of our guys here... And our revives should be very hardy against them because they'll have fire resist themselves, right? They won't be immune to it, but they'll be resistant. And then we'll just fight them on this pile of bodies if they get through. It's such a big pack, but you know, with all the forces we bring to bear here, pretty good stuff. And now it's time for the big show. He always opens with a Fire Nova. And now the decrypt starts. We just want to make sure that we keep him hurt. Keep our Merc up. Keep the beat down going, because if we get him with this slow here, right? Look how slow he is. You know, he only has a few moves to do any given time now. It's not such a worry that he'll do something big, you know. He only gets a couple chances. And that is what upper level play is all about. We'll, now we need to go get the guy back. We should have healed our skeletons at the shop. Or at the guy. We'll just go grab some new ones. Where you at, big guy? This is a pretty bad spot for him. It's not so bad, though. He melts our dude. We could just try Maiden, right? Let him swing. See if the Maiden takes him down, like on normal. I mean, it's working. It's definitely working. We're trucking them on down. Just got to keep our hit point pool fine. 630. A little bit more maiden, and the big guy will be in the tank. Ta-da! Glorious victory! We get trash drops. That's okay. Look, they cannot all be winners. But we did it! Diablo has fallen. Huzzah! And again, as we've said before, Nightmare Diablo is not as bad as regular Diablo is. Hell Diablo now. He's kind of a guy. But by the time we go there, you know, we'll have a little bit more preparation. We'll go ahead and put our cold and magic fine boots on now, as the pure fire resist is less important to us now. Definitely paid off there. Yeah, you know, 800 life is a good number to be entering Act 5 with. I don't have enough gold for that. Feels good though, bro. Getting it done. Act 5, of course, comes with its challenges and its benefits. For one, we'll get another Rowlord Towel out of the guys. Well, most excellent indeed. We're going to go ahead and call it here. I'm going to take a break. Alright, I don't have enough gold to repair my gear, obviously. But, yeah, and that'll do it for right now. And then, you know, we'll see what the future holds. At level 52 already, I mean, you can clear Nightmare at 40 if you're, you know, getting rushed. Anyway, doing well, though. Doing well. Next time we play, you know, we'll tackle some of Act 5. Maybe all of it. Depends on how long we have. But it won't be the next session we do. I'm not sure what we'll play later on today. But we'll see. And maybe I will see you guys there. But for now, we will hold on to the joy that is ours for a glorious victory there over Diablo. Level 52, the Destroyer, that's me. And, you know, I gotta say, feeling good about this run, you know. Really making all of it come together so far. And, I mean, if you get to hell and then you die, that's still a successful hardcore run, right? It's just not an ultimately successful hardcore run. One cannot have everything, or so it's been explained to me. But that'll do it for right now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I really hope you've enjoyed. KP, you're already gone, I think. But later Kiara, later Neo, later anyone who might be watching in the future. But anyway, see you guys.